Welcome to this module about action plans and change theories. I hope you get inspired to lead your change. I wonder, what does inspire you? I know I've been inspired recently by the metaphor of leadership as a dance between leaders and followers. And I was also inspired by a poem by Yeats among school children, because he finishes this poem off by saying, "How can we know the dancer from the dance?" This poem was a little bit more complex than I could just fathom. One of the key messages in this module is you need to consult experts. So I'm going to talk to some experts about this poem.
So Yeats was obviously an amazing poet. That's why I was really pleased to talk to you today about it, because I think it's such a beautiful poem. You have this old man, he's in his 60s, you know, he's looking back on his life, and in particular this woman that he was totally in love with, Maud gone, you know, that he asked to marry 4 times all up, you know, the first 3 times when they were both young and, you know, full of life, and she was a bit of a hedonist, and he was like this staid but very talented and passionate poet, you know, so you can see why he was drawn to her. And then he talks about this notion that as an old man he's surrounded by these small children, and there's nothing accentuates age like being in the presence of youth, you know, and that makes him reflect on a life that's been, and not necessarily a life that's been one of a great achievement, although Yeats' life was one of great achievement, but one that had its frailties and flaws as well. And so I think that when we get to the last stanza, then you see there that that's what this is about, that life is a culmination of everything that we have done and everything that we are and all these things, you know, and that's what makes it such a beautiful thing, I think, is that he makes this argument that we can't separate the dancer from the dance, that we as human beings are the culmination of our entire range of experiences.
I'm particularly struck by the 6th stanza, when the poet travels all the way back to classical philosophy, considers the different gifts that have been bestowed on us, as it were, by Plato, by Aristotle, by Pythagoras, and then into the poetry of the muses, to bring in different ways of thinking and being in the world. Do we work with a kind of concrete scientificity? Do we ask philosophical questions? So those much bigger issues are moving through the poem as well. And then we come to the final stanza, which I think is the one that really relates most closely to some of the metaphors that you're exploring for your works. Oh, body swayed to music, oh, brightening glance. How can we know the dancer from the dance? And so this is the famous closing, right? That we can't understand what it means to be human without understanding what it is that humans do. And we can't understand what humans do without understanding what it means to be a human. So there is a level of complexity, I would argue, in that final image of humans dancing.
Thank you for explaining the connections there, that it is asking the big questions of life, because what I've been thinking about is the idea of leading change, and rather than it being something that you divide up into a plan that's only the parts, it's got to have integrity for the whole, and it's got to be about being fully human. So it's not just about pushing people as chess pieces into the functions, but it's about what form, what narrative, what collective sense of being can we have when we lead change.
The earlier sections of this stanza, labour is blossoming or dancing where the body is not bruised to pleasure soul, nor beauty born out of its own despair, nor blear-eyed wisdom out of midnight oil. Yeah, sorry, I just have those moments of like, oh, Yeats can write, can he not? But the point being, in labour is blossoming or dancing where the body is not bruised to pleasure soul, that one doesn't have to, one should not have to suffer in order to achieve greatness or truth. And that to respect, again, to respect what humans do, one must respect what humans are, and that is a bodily truth as well as an intellectual one, and as well as a truth of the soul.
Well, I hope that's the beginning of your inspiration. I know I've learned a lot from Lee and Erica, that experts often have that connoisseurship, that in-depth understanding that really helped me get some extra insights. In this module, I'm going to invite you to consult with experts. There's a subject guide that the library have put together to link you to readings. There's opportunities to reflect, also conversations with experts and change. At the end of this module, there's a formative assessment opportunity where you can use the tools to plan something that you're going to change, and a connection to an assessment module if you would like a credential with QUT. I hope you enjoy this learning, and I look forward to hearing more from you about the change you're going to lead.